Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Let me see who was here first. Gwendolyn Daniels. Well, there are no prizes for being first, but you have my deepest appreciation, so thank you so much. And let's see, Marilyn Farley, Manello. Uh, let's see, Ann Fu is here. Is that right, Manello? Okay. And Lydia Washington, Shirley Kearney. Well, hello. Thank you so much for being here. Concert. He is now coming out talking about what happened. Oh, Lionel Richie? Is that Lionel Richie you're talking about? Okay. Is he telling everybody why he kept going, yeah, yeah? Oh, well, he talked us right through it. Uh, Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer. Happy Thursday to you. Um, by the way, I had a nice visit with my aunt today. Uh, she was glad to get out of the house, and I tried to be a good host. I did my best. Um, and she helped me get some work done I needed. Sometimes when you have a lot of work to do, if you just have someone to coach you and keep you company, it's amazing where the energy comes from. I always need a good coach sitting around to help me sort stuff out, even if it's only for the company. Zainab Abdi, thank you so much for being here. And let's see, Sonia Johnston. BW, thank you so much for the super sticker. What a nice way to start off another episode of Royal Sussex. And thank you so much for being such a very supportive. Uh, uh, you're a member. Yeah, you're a membership of the Royal Sussex. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you subscribe. Yeah, membership. I'm thinking subscribe, member. But anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you were here yesterday, but it's like that's the way I started off yesterday. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, but you know what? I was actually like I'm doing right now. I'm kind of sitting here blushing. I can feel my cheeks getting hot. So, but thank you so much for that. You guys, I tell you, some days I feel the love, and then certain days I just like I'm almost in. I don't know how to put it, but it is a good feeling. And so, anyway, I promise I will continue to work hard. And most importantly, you guys, thank you so much for trusting me to do this work. I cannot say that enough. I mean, nothing else matters to me more than the trust that goes into doing this. So that is the most important part. So thank you very much. And happy Thursday to you, BW. Okay, I'm scrolling along. I'm just going to go through really fast, all the way to the very last. Okay, and that is Andrea Allen. Oh, nope, sorry. Connie Balmer says, we thank you, Baron, for starting this channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, you guys have been very supportive, and that is like, and even if it's just comments, like, shares, and of course, subscriptions, all of it is equally important as far as I'm concerned because it's the engagement that really drives the channel. So thank you very much. And Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being the newest moderator. Okay. All right. Very cool. Well, anyway, so like I said, my aunt came over and we sat on the lanai, and then Rose came and said something that was so naive and so silly. And then, of course, Dorothy came with a very, stern warning about. Oh, and then, of course, Sophia took a break from making her spaghetti sauce, and she came in and told us some story about um, something about Sicily, 1922, and something about a peasant girl and Mussolini or something like that. So uh, I'm just kidding, you guys. There was no Rose or Blanche or Dorothy or anything like that. I don't want you guys to think that I was having cocktails for our visit, because nothing could be further from the truth. There were no cocktails. Um, oh man, either that Joan Commonwealth, or we had some mimosas. I'm not sure. Antoinette Kennedy, thank you so much for the super sticker. But yeah, yeah. I mean, how often do you get a chance to say lanai? Meet me on the lanai. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? All right, so you guys, I had a chance to catch up on the whole thing about the. Well, as you know, I posted a video last night where I actually took one of those articles from the Guardian and brought it to life with some photos and a narration of it. So I hope that was helpful. And from time to time, as I said, I'm going to continue to do that whenever possible, especially for some of the articles which are more poignant than others. But documents claiming to show enormous number of illegal activities commissioned by Mirror Group newspapers seen by Court Live. Barristers are for alleged victims, including Prince Harry, presents documents in court he says shows illegal activities commissioned by newspaper group. What Piers Morgan knew about phone hacking in his own words. So this is really interesting. Now, the Guardian, the Guardian. I'm going to go through a couple of these with you right now. But in the Guardian, they spoke about, or not spoke about, but they had an article about some of the stuff that Piers Morgan is accused of, and it gives you examples of it, quotes from him, not just people telling the tale, but quotes. Like, for instance, Piers Morgan has faced fresh accusations that he must have known about phone hacking and other illegal behaviors by journalists at the Daily Mirror, the tabloid he edited between 1995 and 2004. Now, Piers Morgan was actually one of the younger editors at that time, if not of all time, but he was one of the younger editors. He wasn't exactly Ed Asner and Lou Grant. He was, Piers Morgan, cocky, arrogant, full of himself. Well, Piers Morgan has faced, I'm sorry, the allegations were made at the High Court as part of the latest phone hacking trial, which is pitting a group of alleged phone hacking victims, including Prince Harry, against the Mirror's parent company. This is what Morgan has previously said about phone hacking in his own words. Are you guys ready? Morgan explained how voicemail interceptions worked to Naomi Campbell during the GQ magazine interview in 2007. And he said it was pretty well known that if you didn't change your PIN code when you were a celebrity who bought a new phone, then reporters could ring your mobile, tap in a standard factory setting number, and hear messages. That is not to me as serious as planting a bug in someone's house, which is what some people seem to think was going on. So that is, in quotation marks, Piers Morgan's word. Now, here's my warning to you guys. Ladies, gentlemen, if you have a home surveillance system, now I don't know if this has changed or not, But have you seen like those news reports where they show a family that is under surveillance from someone, let's say, in another country, Eastern Europe or wherever they're from, or even if it's somebody, let's say, down in Florida, Texas, or Minnesota. And through your home surveillance system, a stranger is talking to you, or they will put your images from your, and I'm not trying to scare you guys, but there's a point to why I'm telling you this. They will actually stream your living room, your nursery, your garage, your backyard. They could actually stream that on the internet. But there's a way you can prevent that from happening. Hey, Andrew Bodie, thank you for the super chat last night or early this morning. Thank you very much. But there is a way to prevent that. And this is how you prevent that: change the PIN code, because there is a factory setting, and people set up these very like high tech home surveillance systems, but they don't change the PIN code, which means that if someone happens along to your system and they put in that factory setting code, let's say is 0007, or let's say is 1221, whatever it is, if they put that code in, then they will have access to view, monitor. And there's even been weird cases where people have been pranked. People have given weird and bizarre instructions to children in their nursery. You know how they have like the webcam for the nurseries? People can hack into those. But the best way to protect yourself is to change the code that comes from the factory, and try not to use 1234, as your code or something like that. And so this is what Piers Morgan is saying, is that at the time when people received their mobile phones, they did not change that PIN code. And in some cases, there is a code that comes with the device that even the consumer doesn't know it, but people with inside information in that industry actually know the PIN code. So if you tell them what kind of device they have, then they can hack into your phone. Now, this is the thing. So he says it's not as bad as bugging someone's house. And I could see why a young, cocky, arrogant editor with very low morals and absolutely no scruples whatsoever would think that it's okay to do that. And they just do it. And they get the mother of all stories out of someone's hacked phone. So Harry, William, and other members of the royal family would make plans for the weekend, would agree to have lunch with someone, maybe go on a date, and next thing you know, it's in the papers. Harry and William have both lost friendships. They have isolated, alienated, walked away from people. People have stopped talking to them because even though the conversation was just between two people, somehow their phones were hacked, and the paparazzi, the newspapers, whatever, they knew the information, even though there was supposed to be complete secrecy. And this just didn't happen to a handful of people. This has happened to thousands of people. Whether you were the victim of a accident or the 7/7 bus terrorist act or whatever, anybody was subject to it if they can come up with a sensational story. So I'm just going to briefly go through the rest of these. Let me see here. Morgan expressing sympathy in the 2007 for the News of the World, wrote editor Clive Goodman, who was jailed for hacking Prince William's voicemail. I feel a lot of sympathy for the man who has been the convenient fall guy for an investigative practice that everyone knows was going on. So again, he is saying that it was okay to hack people's phone, but was it okay to do that and then print the information? Was it okay to do it at all? I'm like, okay, that is a vulnerability. And, it's like they say, ignorance of the law is of no excuse. Well, even if that is the case, it is still a mitigating circumstance, just like one should have to assume that because it is possible, because you have done it, let's say you're just nosy, but it doesn't really get as bad as when you print the story. If you print the story, then at that point, I'm going to say at that point, that is when for sure you have broken the law. It may be a gray area if the consumer hasn't changed the PIN code. I can see that. But when you use that against a person, when you invade their privacy by using that, especially for financial gain, then truly you have broken the law. You could even have accidentally, come across someone else's information, but hacking someone's phone is very deliberate. Using inside information. I mean, I wouldn't expect for a bank teller who has access to my checking account to just take some money because they could. So why would I expect someone to hack my phone because they can? I think both of those should be criminal. Rohini, hi Rohini. Rohini says, I wonder if some hacker group hacks Piers' phone and finds out some nasty stuff and put it out there, if he would be okay with it. You know what he would say? Hang on. You know how he says that? Hang on. Yeah, hang on. How many chins does he have? Well, let's see. You'd have to keep trying to unfold them and lift and separate them and try not to get any of that goo on your fingers to to finally get to them. Okay, so Morgan described listening to a voicemail by Paul McCartney. Well, he did listen to a voicemail of Paul McCartney and Heather Mills. As a matter of fact, why don't I? I don't know. It's kind of a long video. Maybe I shouldn't. It's like about 8 minutes long, but maybe not. But anyway, it's the probably I uploaded it last night, so try to look at it when you can. But Morgan discussing underhand tactics in the British newspaper industry while appearing on Desert Island Disc in 2009. So at that point, a lot of it was done by third party rather than the staff themselves. That's not to defend it, because obviously you were running the results of their work. I'm quite happy to be parked in the corner of the tabloid beast and to have it sit here defending all of these things I used to get up to. So he's saying there that he used to get up to that stuff, and I make no pretense about it, the stuff we used to do. So one of the things that they have said about Morgan is that he was prone to boasting, especially if it was something super devious. He was quite likely to boast about it, as evident by these quotes of his that's in The Guardian. Morgan described his knowledge of how phone hacking worked in 2001, according to his 2005 book, The Insider. He's and you guys have just heard him say in different situations, or he's quoted as saying he didn't know anything about it, but yet it's in his book. Morgan explains how journalists were using voicemail interceptions while being interviewed in 2003 about tabloid tactics by Charlotte Church. Well, as you guys may have heard, and I don't know the whole Charlotte Church story, but if I'm correct, was there some media mogul who wanted to coerce Charlotte Church into doing a free concert? Now, I'm not naming the mogul, but if you guys know, you know. But I don't know a lot about the story, but they said that there was some media mogul, this is how I recall it, but it's been a long time, that was trying to coerce her into doing a free concert for a wedding or a bat mitzvah or something. And and if she didn't do it, that the papers were going to humiliate her. Charlotte Church, that angelic voice, that young singer of the day, somehow found herself in the crosshairs of the tabloid media. So, if you guys know about that story, please fill me in as best you can because I didn't even I don't really know the particulars about it, but I do recall that it had something to do with a bit of coercion that they were trying to, um, some media mogul. I don't know which one, maybe. Morgan interviewed by the BBC Amo Rajan. That's that one that they put the pressure on to change that thing about Harry and William, that news program he was supposed to do that time, and they coerced him into editing out certain portions. Remember that? That happened, what, a couple years ago? But anyway, in May of 2023, about his knowledge of, I'm sorry, Morgan interviewed by BBC Amal Rajan in May of 2023 about his knowledge of phone hacking. And then this is what Morgan said. Hang on. Now, he didn't say that. Originally, I said I had never hacked a phone, never told anyone to hack a phone, and no stories have been published in the Mirror in my time from the hacking of a phone. Then someone pointed out that you can only know the first two things for sure. All I can talk about is what I know. I never hacked a phone. Now, okay, let me finish this. I wouldn't know how. He never hacked the phone and he wouldn't know how. After everything that he was quoted as having known about or participated in or said, allegedly, here it says in this latest interview, he don't know nothing about hacking the phone. I made it crystal clear to my journalists that we operate within the law. I made I made it crystal clear that we operate within the law. Can you be absolutely certain what everyone is doing at all time? Of course not. Of course you can't. He had hundreds and hundreds of people in the newsroom, hundreds and hundreds of people. Come on now. I can be certain about what I knew and what I did. No one has ever produced anything to contradict what I am saying. Let that sink in. So, in other words, David, what is his name? Shelbourne has gone into the high court and made these accusations because that he's hoping that somehow he would have perjured himself or anyone else for that. I mean, come on, Piers. Come on, Piers. You could do better than that, you big sweaty ham hock, you. Um, okay. So what Piers Morgan knew about phone hacking in his own words. That was the article. It is in the what is that paper? The Guardian. So if you want to see word for word, just go to the Guardian and find what Piers Morgan knew about phone hacking in his own words. Should be interesting. So let me see. Did anybody look up Charlotte Church? Because, oh, there we go. V. Bram says, I vaguely remember the Charlotte Church drama. She disappeared after a while and never returned. I couldn't imagine why. I couldn't imagine why. Uh, yeah, I have like a vague recollection of it. I didn't really follow that. Um, okay, but thank you so much. That'll do for now for sure. Let me see. Leslie F says he's just using a play on words. All they need to do is find an expense account. Come on, Sussex Squad Detective Agency, that he signed off as editor with payments of the private investigator. Well, I mean, we're not sure that that exists, but if it does, that's a good place to start. Um, okay, let's move on. So right here, we found out yesterday from that article that I finally got around to that young, intrepid um, journalist Omid Scobie, who looks just the same as he did back in the day, Omid Scobie, who hasn't aged in 20 years, actually did an internship. Was it at the Mirror? Was it the Mirror? And he recalls certain elements of things that had happened at that time. And anyway, I suppose that he gave his evidence. Well, they said he gave some evidence in the court hearing that, oh, boy, I bet you Piers Morgan is hot. I bet you he is hot. I can just picture him like a piece of bacon sizzling over in a fire. And anyway, if you guys remember, lots of people on here want me fired for expressing my opinion on the Pinocchio Princess. If you want to join them, there are various petitions still doing the rounds from the last few times you all tried and failed to have me fired for saying what I think. Now this makes so much more sense. I couldn't understand why, except for the self-aggrandizement that Piers Morgan is capable of, how he likes to hitch his wagon to everyone else's success. I could not understand the vitriol against the Duchess of Sussex. Day after day after day, sometimes 5 days a week, nothing but attack, attack, attack. And it was a ratings bonanza, right? And at a time when someone has moved to another country and they want to start a family, later than some people do these days, but still not so late. But yeah, you got Meghan, what, just turned 36, 35, 36. And she and Harry are planning a future. And so much of it was impacted by these vicious attacks, especially from Good Morning Britain. And it was so confusing for me. Um, as an American, I see Good Morning Britain. I'm like, gosh, that must be their version of Good Morning America. But not even on the worst day on Good Morning America do you have attacks flying over the airways day after day like a punch in the gut, which is exactly what Piers Morgan did every day, 5 days a week, wasn't it? Every day he's on television assassinating Meghan's character. And one of the things that he kept repeating that seemed to resonate with people is she wants to have her cake and eat it. They want to have their cake and eat it. She wants to have her cake and eat it. Very powerful words to use, and it definitely hit the target because it was like one of those elements that was very difficult to overlook. I mean, I could still hear it in my head, how nasty he would say that. And there's Meghan trying to do the best that she can at these royal engagements, during her pregnancy with Archie, the move to the Frogmore, and so on. And what's worse is Piers Morgan was just one of the people that were attacking her every day. Just one of them. Story after story about nothing in particular. And there he was. So now this makes a lot of sense because obviously he must have known that he would end up in the situation that he's in right now. Now he managed to avoid jail time or any serious trouble. The first, what was that? I forget what they call that when they were first talking about the phone hacking. Well, so here we go for another round, and this time, this one seems like it is going to be his undoing, and I hope it is. I really do hope it is. Yeah, B10. Omid Scobie has actually been. If I recall, I think he said that they um, were like trying to uh, visit his parents, someone from the media, like they were trying to, I guess, lean on him and his family, and that he felt, excuse me, very unsafe at certain points in time. So, guys, if you have any type of affection for Omid Scobie, he probably needs some prayers right now because Omid Scobie is in a very precarious situation because, on the one hand, he is a royal reporter and he has been othered by the same type of forces that have othered Meghan, but just not nearly as bad. But he's experienced racism himself, and he's a reporter. I think he's been mostly fair, and I worry for him. I just worry for him because the derangers. I saw a deranger account one day, and he is definitely one of the people that they have an end for. So I'm just saying, um, there's a lot of people that hate him for just doing his job. So there is Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan is supposed to be this big tough guy, right? Piers, now could you imagine? Do you remember he said, thank you, B10 pal. Remember he said that he stormed out of the studio because he wasn't sure what he would have done. He didn't want to do anything that he might regret when he was being confronted by Alex. I have no need for shirts, Beresford. He said he did not want to be responsible for what might happen. Oh, he is just a tiger pouncing, should I say, pacing and ready to pounce, right? That's our Piers Morgan. Oh, is he a force to be reckoned with? I have to say, if this is the stance that he has when he's about to box with somebody, I thought Tom Willis. I don't know why he reminds me of Tom Willis, although Tom Willis was what do you call it? Tom Willis was a stud compared to this character, but I don't know why he reminds me of Tom Willis. He's kind of like a cross between Tom Willis and Harry Bentley. Remember them from the Jeffersons? Yeah, he kind of looks like Tom Willis and Harry Bentley were put into like a science project, and this came out. Like they made two people into one. So, but yeah, so this is supposed to be the tough guy, Piers Morgan, who had to run away from Alex because he wasn't sure what he was going to do. He just couldn't, he couldn't trust himself because he felt as though he was being sat upon, right? And so, if you guys recall that morning when we all woke up and we found out, well, if you live in the US, you wake up and you find out that this pompous, arrogant windbag stormed out of the studio. I mean, I watched that video over and over and over again. Piers Morgan set a land speed record for a mammal on 2 feet. I had never seen him more athletic in my life. And he storms out of the studio. And of course, Alex Beresford, being the gentleman that he is, he's like, oh, but this is absolutely diabolical. Now, I might have said, I would probably would have said, ain't this a B? But no, not Alex. He is still the gentleman. He says, this is diabolical. I I should live so long to work diabolical into a conversation. But I digress. He did. So yeah, Piers Morgan, and of course the thing is Piers Morgan. This is the world according to Piers. Alex Beresford wasn't even supposed to be there, but if you notice, he was not doing the weather. He was sitting in on this conversation that they were having, and according to Piers Morgan, he request he requested the opportunity to sit in on this particular morning. And so he did. So a combination of Dr. Shola, we got to give Shola her flowers. Dr. Shola kind of tenderized that side of beef. And then Alex Beresford went in for the kill. And once he pointed out to Piers Morgan that I forgot how he put it, but it was something to the effect that you feel like Meghan um uh ghosted you or something like that. That's her prerogative, blah blah blah. And Pierce Morgan's, you look at how his lips have disappeared. I mean, he went from this to this, from this to this. And before you know it, that vicious bowl of jello stormed out of the studio. So I just want to say it doesn't matter that Alex Beresford is the epitome of health and that he is very muscular and athletic and toned and has the body of a 25-year-old. That is not the point of this exercise. I'm just saying that Piers Morgan, who is not exactly what I would refer to as a profile in courage, not exactly, sexiest man alive material, Piers Morgan seemed to believe that he was going to lose control of himself. And so that's why he had to flee the studio, setting a land speed record for a mammal on 2 feet. And so there was Alex pointing out, making his case before that hog haul off and run out the studio. I mean, just he booked. He booked. Piers Morgan set a land speed record. And you're running fast when but I love the way the monitors are blurred. I wonder if the cameraman was in on it too, because if you're working the camera, how would you know that something that large and doughy and clumsy and fluffy was going to leap out of the chair and run out of the studio? I promise you, I watched this over and over again. How could you know that something as unfortunately shaped as a Piers Morgan was going to make one of the fastest moves? No one in the history of British television or any television has ever exited a studio that fast. No one. In a flash, he was gone. Lex says, I know that it is older than the royal family, but you would have thought they came up with the saying, being treated like a red-headed stepchild, despicable. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, as they say, what do they call it? An anagram? If you change the letters of ginger around, what do you get? If you rearrange the letters, it seems as though that is the way certain people have been treated. Didn't they used to think that the redheads were witches or something like that? I mean, there is a certain gene. There's a certain gene that produces the red hair, and they were even saying that at some point that the redheads were going to disappear. Now, I have it on good authority from the time I spent in Scotland. I had never seen more redheads in my life. Never. They were everywhere. I was so fascinated. My head was just turning like a chicken. But yeah, the idea of the redheaded stepchild, I've always like hated that term, but I guess maybe at some point in time it had a meaning. But and that's maybe because you usually don't have like, well, you know what, I can't say that, but isn't it like unusual to have a whole family of gingers? Isn't that unusual? Or isn't it like blonde ginger or something like that? Blonde, brown, ginger, that the gingers just seem to pop out of nowhere. And like, as for Harry, being a Windsor, I think he's like the only ginger in the family, right? I think. Huh. Oh well. But yeah, that old saying is one that I thought that came from like out of the days when they used to accuse people of witchcraft or something like that. But thank you so much, Lex, for the super chat. Let me see here, Baron. Do you really need all these adjectives to describe? Oh, you didn't like Vicious Bowl of Jello? Reba Henderson says Hoghead could not scream at Alex Beresford. He knew that. Hoghead wanted to keep his head. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. And so this makes it so much more reasonable. This whole idea when Piers Morgan went to the gates, and by the way, you guys, nobody uses those gates at Kensington Palace. Those are strictly ornamental. Maybe if there is a VIP visit, they might open them up. But on either side of the gate, there is like a fence that is waist high. I mean, you could literally just step over it. So those gates, I don't know where they come from, but they are strictly ornamental. There's nothing to prevent anyone from like walking up to the building. So when you enter, you actually enter from another place. But yeah, so beautiful ornamental gates. I don't know where they originate from, but that is the Christopher Wren side of Kensington Palace. I think that's the architect who wanted it to be more of a Renaissance style property. And so he's standing there. There I go with my architecture, reminding people that someone in the royal family thanked him. And then fast forward to last December when they had the Christmas party, which included Dame Judi Dench, Hoghead Piers Morgan, Claudia Winkleman, and Jeremy Clarkson, just to name a few. And this was supposed to prove, of course, that Camilla has the same ability to pull stars out of the heavens. I mean, look at there, Maggie Smith. There's Maggie Smith. So, but yeah, he was one of those people, received a gift bag, services rendered, or whatever that gift bag was for. But it does make more sense as to how things work. The lack of objectivity or anything like that makes it so much more reasonable to assume, although we can't say for certain. By the way, someone sent me a PayPal. Thank you so much for the PayPal, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Let me see. I won't say the name, but thank you, MD. Thank you very much for the PayPal. Very cool. All right. So that makes more sense. Now, and then we have, of course, the famous the calls are coming from inside the house. That statement. And again, for the lawyers that are listening, I am not saying that Piers Morgan acted on anyone's behalf, even though that seems to be what he wants us to believe. And I'm certainly not saying that the very creepy, sad little man is acting on anybody's behalf, but certainly that's what we are led to believe, even though he has not said that expressly himself. Sean says, "Did I get the video? I mean, did you get the video I sent on Twitter? My Twitter is I don't think so. I don't think so, Sean, and." Or maybe, let me see. I'm gonna look right now. Okay. Nope. Nope. And you sent it to Royal Sussex. You'll see the Royal Sussex same logo as I have on the channel, but nope, I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, sorry about that. I do not see it. Wait a minute. Why is Nigel Farage stripping? Why is Nigel Farage? He just took his tie off. Okay, he just unbuttoned his shirt and then he stopped right there. Thank goodness. Oh man. Hang on. That's what Piers Morgan says. Hang on. Okay, but thank you so much, Sean, for the super sticker. But no, I did not see it. Hello, Marcy Foreman. Okay, so again, as I'd love to say it, Dan Wooten launches a tirade against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It's so much easier for them to blame anything uncomfortable on racism rather than address the fact that the negativity toward them is coming from inside the royal family. And don't you know that Dan Wooten was the one who actually preempted the Sussexes? Well, he didn't preempt it. He warned that he was going to not leak, but report about the Sussexes stepping down from official royal duty. And he gave them 10 days to tell it themselves. Otherwise, he was going to tell it, right? He boasted about that. And of course, after the announcement was made, what happens? Then the media goes on this big, long, drawn out accusation that they blindsided the Queen. Remember the headline? They didn't even tell the Queen. All of that was custom made to create hate and hostility toward the Sussexes. Helen Cole says Harry red hair is from the Spencer side from Diana. Yes, that is very true, Helen Cole. It comes from the Spencer side. But yet not everybody in the family will have the red hair. That's the question I was asking is, does it take a leap? Let me see. Was Charles Spencer a redhead or no? Or is he? But yeah, I was wondering about that. Is if it's one in the family, is it possible for like a whole family of redheads? Please let me know about that. Somebody look that up. But thank you so much, Helen Cole. Okay. Princess Meghan had auburn colored hair when she was young. Beatrice, okay. Beatrice is red. And my daughter Tara was redhead like Annie when she was 1 to 3 years old. Then her hair turned sandy brown with blonde. Okay. Now, actually, believe it or not, there was a redhead in my family. There was a redhead in my family, and so much so that they used to dye their hair black because they didn't like the red hair and freckles. As a matter of fact, there's at least three people in my family I know that have freckles. One has kind of sandy brown hair, and one redhead, and at least three with freckles. Yeah. Yeah, not those little dark moly things like Morgan Freeman. I'm talking about real freckles. So, um, yes, it's like a what do you call it? A melting pot in some African American families. But thank you so much for the comment. And Big Mama's in the house. Hey, Big Mama. Okay. But yeah, that redhead gene is a particular gene. It comes out when it wants to, I think, and for some places. Let me see here. I am proud. Oh, sorry. I'm a proud ginger who used to tell kids that my freckles were the soul of people who got on my nerve. That didn't scare anybody, did it? Thank you, Shelly L. And let me see. Leg says, oh, sorry about that. Red hair is on a different, what is that? Um, what's that? L? Okay. Both parents have to have it. If you look at Meghan when she was young, she has a red tint to her hair, which indicates that she might have the, what is it? I don't know how to pronounce that, but okay. But that's something to do with the gene. Okay. Thank you, Legs. That was very helpful. That was the answer I was looking for. Is I thought it was some type of gene that didn't necessarily show up with everyone, but I'm always fascinated with redheads. I usually, like, if I'm in the supermarket, I see someone go past with red hair, it's like I cannot stop looking. I'm always fascinated with it. But thank you so much for your comment, Lex, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Very helpful. Okay, I knew that there was had to be more to it than that, so you helped out a whole lot. Lex says one of my family members had reddish hair growing up. To Shelly L, they are the only redheads. However, many of the brunettes has a red tint to. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's always interesting to see that, especially in African American families. It's just like, uh-huh. Kim says our oldest son, the 14-year-old that thinks you're hilarious, is a ginger. Very cool. And does draw a lot of attention, but never teased in school. Thank goodness. Oh yeah, that is very fortunate. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I'm always fascinated with it. It's just when I see it, I just kind of stop doing whatever I'm doing in my head just follow. I wonder if people ever get like the chills when I do that, but I was like, a redhead. But yeah, thank you so much for your comment. Okay, so yeah, interesting conversation. Let me see. Helen Cole says both Harry's kids are redheads, and yes, Charles Spencer is a redhead. I thought so. I thought he was a redhead. Um, yeah, Charles Spencer. I'm kind of in and out with him. On the one, he's a good talker. On the one hand, I kind of um, remember how he dressed down everyone at the Diana's funeral and had the Queen sitting up there about to drop a deuce. And then, of course, there are other times, and I'm just like, if only you had been more accommodating to your sister. But that's not for me to say. That's his family, not mine. So I'm not going to go there. But tell you a little factoid, you guys. Did you all know? Oh, let me get Dan Wooten off the screen. How come y'all didn't say nothing? Let me get this monster off the screen. Let me see. Okay. I don't have anything pleasant to put in this place. I don't want to jump ahead of where I am right now. So Let me go to this one. You know, I love this. There we go. Church Nelly, I forgot to ask how you are. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Church Nelly. I pray you a speedy recovery. Oh yes, and you guys, we are only 100 and let me see. I think 185, is it? No, not 85. But anyway, it's like, yeah, maybe 185 away from 33,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please do. It'd be nice to actually get to that point by the end of the month. Hello, Sonia Dandridge. Thank you for being here. All right, so let me get back over here. Now, I'll just say this very quickly because I really shouldn't move on. But roll of graduates, and this, of course, indicates that Jason Knopf and Dan Wooten, some of you guys have known this already, they both went to the Victoria University of Wellington. Aha! And of course, there is every possibility that certain information may have been shared. I'm not saying that it was for the sake of the lawyers, but I'm saying it could have happened. That's all. I'm just saying that it could have happened, but I don't know that it did. I'm just saying that if someone works for the royal family and some classmate, I'm still trying to figure out how did Jason Knopf get to New Zealand to go to university, right? But I'm not saying he's some type of Manchurian candidate, but I'm not saying that he's not. Okay, so Dan Wooten, as a royalist, I hate to say it, but I'm beginning to doubt that Prince Charles has the capacity to become King Charles III without threatening the future of the British monarchy. Now, he said that in June of 2022. Then the Queen died, and then all of a sudden, he came around. And then what about this one? Can't believe Prince Charles' mates and staff are moaning about the crown. What was Netflix meant to do? Pretend he wasn't a horrible husband to Princess Diana, who treated a naive 20-year-old like dirt before cheating on her constantly and brazenly with Camilla? That happened. Dan Wooten said that. Oy vey. And then, of course, Dan Wooten, I've wrestled with my conscience out of loyalty to Princess Diana, who the royals and the establishment wrongly want to erase from history. But after the coronation, it's finally time to accept Queen Camilla. This man has absolutely no credibility. I mean, he flip-flops like a cheap pair of sandals. He blows east or west. Whichever way the wind blows. Okay, I better be careful. All right, so let me move on. Based on all we know, it's probably time to move on. Okay, so Prince Harry's stories came from members of the royal family Daily Mirror publisher claims in court. Prince Harry himself has previously spoken about leaks from within the firm, commenting in his book Spare that members of the royal family briefed the press. Well, we heard Harry say very clearly that he was sacrificed on the mantle of Camilla to help reform her character, her public image. The publisher of the Daily Mirror has claimed members of the royal family were responsible for revelations, that is, about Prince Harry appearing in the press. An ongoing phone hacking trial against Mirror Group newspaper by the Duke of Sussex and others, the publisher denied that 28 out of the 33 articles in Prince Harry's claim involved phone hacking or other unlawful information gathering, according to written submission from MGN barrister Andrew Green, KC. Instead, it was claimed some of the information in the articles came from members of Harry's own family, as well as from other sources. The legal document seen by Yahoo News states many came from information disclosed by or on behalf of royal household or members of the royal family. Prince Harry himself has previously spoken about alleged leaks from within the firm, claiming in his book Spare that members of the royal family briefed the press against one another. Harry specifically claimed that Camilla, ugh, I can't keep my food down. That Camilla leaked royal stories to improve her own image. I'm sorry, I'm not ready for Queen Camilla. Jael, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being here on Royal Sussex. Happy Thursday to you. Let me see. Gwendolyn Daniels says, oh, that's for Connie Balmer. Have you seen a white dude being lambasted for talking trash about hundreds of young black doctors? No, I have not seen that. I have not seen that. Oh, there you go. You guys, JL's you guys, a lovely, lovely YouTube channel. She collects and sells and deals with antiques and some very kitschy, campy stuff from not so long ago. And it's a very relaxing place to spend some time. And that lovely, lovely French accent is just, it is so, how do we say, très magnifique. So make sure you support her channel. Thank you, Church Nelly. So then there's this little curious tale. And you know what? They found the saddest images of everyone. You recognize Harry from the coronation, Meghan from the walkabout during the mourning period for the Queen. William, he just looks pathetic any day of the week. And Charles, well, of course, Charles went through that whole coronation looking like he can't wait to get home and give himself an enema. I mean, it's like he called ahead and said, listen, have the enema waiting. Okay? Cheers. Have that enema waiting. He looked like he was constipated, perplexed, like it was just a very thin line between getting home in time and a complete disaster. Of course, let me stop. It may be dinner time for some people. You know who he reminded me of? I thought about this the other day. Do you guys remember the television show Fish? Or how about the television show Barney Miller? Do you guys remember Abe Vigoda? How Abe Vigoda always looked like you weren't sure if he was going to make it through lunch? That's the way Charles was looking. Charles kind of had that look like, how do I put it? You ever see someone go to a funeral and you think, why even bother going home? You know what I mean? That's what he looked like. He kind of looked like if he goes to a funeral, people might just assume, I'm going to wait just a little bit instead of having to, But anyway, that's kind of the look that he gave. It was really exhausting looking at him. And then Camilla, of course, with that very devilish grin that she had, the whole thing was just so sad. And just the music, I have to tell you, the music at the coronation was out of sight. All the pageantry with the music. But then you got those two old, decrepit pensioners moving around at a snail's pace. and Camilla showing off her. Oh, by the way, I don't think Camilla was wearing tights. The queen would not approve. I don't think she was wearing tights. But yeah, it was tough to look at. Yeah. Was that Legs or was that yeah, was it Legs that said he looked like the donkey from the Winnie the Pooh or something like that? Someone said he looked like that donkey from Winnie the Pooh. Oh man. So Charles and Prince William want distance from Harry and Meghan. Uh-huh. So leave it to the squad to really go in. I better turn this ringer off. Leave it to the squad to really go in. Ew. Didn't Harry and Meghan move to another continent to get away from them 3 years ago? I mean, the couple reside over 5,000 miles away. Harry didn't stay after the coronation, and Meghan declined their invite and hasn't been in the UK for 9 months. I mean, how much more distance can you get? Here, here. She gets a bell for that. Here, here. Yes. How much more distance? Hey, Mary Hiker, how much more distance do you want? I mean, I have moved to another continent, right? I did not go to the coronation. Harry stayed in the UK for what, 38 hours, according to the tabloids? He was there, and in a flash, he was gone. So, how much more distance do you want? They have gotten as far away from you as possible. They're on the other side, they're in another continent. And not only are they in the US, but they're on the West Coast, right? They're on the West Coast. You know how they say, oh, I bet you I would swim the English Channel. You know how people, they used to say, I'd swim the English Channel to get away from. I'd rather swim the English Channel. Well, they flew a transcontinental flight to get away from them. So all of this, you have married a monster, and that monster has leaked information to ruin my life, right? And then as for William, who has married one of the coldest snakes this side of a snake pit, and he's pretty icy himself. William has settled a lawsuit and then encouraged me not to get involved with one, along with Charles. So William has rejected my wife. William has tried to run my life. William has broken a perfectly good doggy dish, and not to mention probably, bruised me up and perhaps nearly killed me. All of those things happen, and you want to distance yourselves away from them. You with contacts in MI5 and MI6 and all those other places, you who have the Met Police in your hip pocket, and you're trying to get away from me? Seriously? Oh, Sean says, I hate Twitter. I just tried again. I hope it went through this time. Sean, I still haven't figured out Twitter, but yeah. Nope, nothing. Oh, you know what? You know what? You probably didn't put it in the messages, did you? Let me see. I don't always look at my notifications. I don't always look at my notifications. So that could be a factor too. I am so behind on my notifications to the point I almost never look at them. But I will try that later, I promise, and I will see if I can hunt it down. But thank you so much for trying, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay, let me see here. Hit and run. Okay, moving on. So Sophie has found herself in a spot of bother. Sophie's motorcade escort cop smashed into, what is the OAP? A old ASS person? What does that mean? OAP. Smashed into an OAP. What is OAP? Is what, old ass person? What is OAP? Anyway, a woman in her 80s is fighting for her life after being hit by Royal Motorcade outrider as she crossed London Road. Duchess of Edinburgh is praying for the injured lady. Well, I hate to say this, but what is the urgency for Sophie Wessex to be anywhere? Oh, okay. I didn't think it meant what I said. I didn't think it meant that, but I wasn't. I was just like old aged pensioner. Oh, that's interesting. Oh well. Sorry. So, as I was saying, so it's not old ass person. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, what was the hurry for Sophie to be anywhere? Where does Sophie has to go? Who is in a hurry to see Sophie? Sophie is not in line to the throne. Okay, I get it. The king is the head of state. There is the, some countries say crown prince, but in the UK, you have the Prince of Wales is the next, right? So I can understand when the Queen was alive, the Queen used a helicopter. I could understand that Charles used a helicopter. I couldn't understand why William needed a helicopter, except for he coerced his grandmother to get one for him for the lofty price of £8 million. Okay, so now the Queen is gone, and Charles is still using a helicopter, and now William used a helicopter, right? If they're the head of state, fine. But all of the motorcycles, the motorcades, and all that kind of stuff, why would Sophie Wessex need that? Sophie is not going on the throne. Sophie's husband will never be king unless the Windsors have a really, really, really bad day. I mean, really bad day. So bad that there's so many people who would have to go first before Uncle Pennywise ever makes it to the throne. So why does Sophie, aka Ford Fiesta, aka Ford Escape, why would she even need that anyway? Is there anybody on God's green earth that would be in a hurry to see Sophie's outfit? Do you think anybody is like, "Ooh, where is the Duchess of Edinburgh? I can't wait to see what she's wearing." Is that the hurry? Get her a bus pass, get her an Oyster card, and call it a day. She don't need to be no place that fast. Get her an Oyster card and a nice pair of Wellingtons, and say, "Have a nice day. We'll see you when you get back." But then too, I'm wondering, when this happened, was she yelling at one of her security people? She's prone to do that. Sophie doesn't mind mixing it up with the help. I mean, look right there. Sophie was all up in his face like a little thug and all getting up in his video. Tantrum Sophie Wessex took out on irritation on her bodyguard, waving her arms and jabbing her finger. Did she really? Did you guys know she was like that? But remember, Meghan is the one who was investigated for being a bully. Sophie Wessex, who came to the family penniless, who came to the family, and then not only was she a disgrace when she got there, then she really disgraced the family by bad mouthing them to an undercover reporter. Sophie, who used to have the interesting party life, is now every bit the lady. Such a lady that she's wagging her fingers and jabbing people in their torso with her finger. But again, I asked the question, why is Sophie in a hurry? Why does she need all that? She does not need a armed motorcade. I'm sorry, but she just doesn't. She's not the Secretary of State. She's not the Home Secretary. What is the point of that? And then, of course, let's face it, there's nobody on the other end of that visit that can't wait to see what Sophie is wearing. Nobody. Could you imagine all of the motorcades and the cars and the cops and everything? And then Sophie emerges from the car with this hideous get up on, or that hideous get up. And or how about the one where it looks like she has her bosoms in the waistband of her where it looks like she's got them stuffed into the belt of her hideous gown. Y'all know I can't stand her. I cannot stand her. She just makes me sick. Do you hear me? Sick! She just makes me sick. Cannot stand her. But yeah, so I don't know who was on the other end waiting for Sophie to get there, but I hope it was worth it. And I hope that lady is okay. And of course, maybe it was an emergency trip to the beauty salon. Maybe she wanted them to do whatever it is they done the last time. I don't know. But I just don't understand why Sophie needs a motorcade. I'm not trying to be shady or anything like that. But I just don't see the necessity for Sophie to be in a hurry. Accidents will happen. I'm not blaming anyone or anything like that. But it could not have been an appointment to the beauty parlor. So, oh well, Sophie, we're going to pray for her too. And I hope the lady pulls through. But she does not need a motorcade. Danger of drab driving, speeding to premiere of the latest in country curtain couture. Oh, so instead of Kate's country kitchen cottage curtains, we have to compete with Sophie's country kitchen cottage curtains. You know, I'm going to say that the one on the left might be a country kitchen cottage curtain, but I can see the middle photo. That fabric is good for a throw pillow. And as for the evening gown, that very mother of the bride dress that she's wearing, I could see that frock being used for like perhaps curtains at a magic show. I could see someone pulling a rabbit out of a hat in front of that. So yeah. And now I pull a rabbit out of a hat. But thank you so much, YM Droid. And Shelly L says, are they wearing as a person? Right. If WTF, what are you wearing was a person. Exactly. Yeah. And remember, there are certain undergarments that are produced by Playtex that will give you 18 hours of protection. And you know what? I am going to try to find her publicist and see if I can pass that information to her, that there is 18 hours of protection and has been since the 1970s. So that is so shady. Okay, thank you so much, Shelly L. But there is, I mean, since the 1970s, they have had a perfectly suitable garment that will lift and separate, I promise. Uh, all right, so royal superfan arrested and locked up for 13 hours at Coronation for standing near protester. How about that? Alice Chambers, 36, had traveled to the mall hoping to catch a glimpse of King Charles when she was arrested and handcuffed along with Stop Oil protesters. Could you imagine that? You are there, you were there trying to cheer on those, what do we call them? Old old something pensioners. Oh, well, anyway, she was there trying to cheer them on, only to be arrested by that because of that new law that they passed, right? That new law. And see, that's why that stuff is not a good idea, because innocent people are usually the ones that get it the worst. So if it wasn't for that law, this wouldn't have happened. Let me see here. Teresa McDougall says, I'm way past her, and you'll never see me wearing outfit. Oh man. Thank you so much, Teresa McDougall. Okay, let me see here. Now, notice here, Prince of Wales is wearing the cipher of both Queen Elizabeth II and King Charles III. This makes William the first since Lord Mountbatten to be appointed by multiple monarchs as aide de camp aide de camp. Thanks to something for the info. So yeah, he's wearing the Queen's cipher, and he's also wearing Charles cipher, which is their initials with the crown, of course. And I didn't know that that was a thing until today, but oh well. Yeah, the woman was in her 80s, Cheryl. The woman was in her 80s. Very sad. Very sad. I just, and I guess, I don't know. I just don't see why there was a hurry for Sophie Wessex to be anywhere. I mean, if you're in traffic, you're in traffic, but maybe there's a reason for it, and I just don't understand. But I'm trying to figure out, why would Sophie Wessex need a police escort? Prince William unable to walk after last week's activity. The Prince of Wales shared he was struggling with his mobility during an investiture at Windsor Castle. Yeah. Prince William unable to walk after last week's sporting activity. What in the world could he have been doing? What in the world would have caused Prince William to have lost mobility? Oh, wait, never mind. But I hope it has nothing to do with that spontaneous secret trip to Poland, the home of the pulled pork sandwich. Yeah, because if you guys remember, when he went to Poland, somehow he found himself in a very interesting establishment. And apparently they're very famous for their pulled pork sandwich. Well, people are having pulled pork sandwiches all over the place. And William is just one of them. Remember that song? I'll never be your beast of burden. I walk for miles and my back is hurting. Yeah, so I never be your prince of pagan. I walk for miles and my... Okay, better move on. Oh, I did that already. Oh, you know what? I was just gonna finish up, and I'm almost done, you guys. King Charles and Prince William want to distance themselves from Harry. Well, it is Harry who has distanced himself from them. Harry has come miles since he left that institution. We are all very proud of what Harry has done with his life, what he's done for his family, and for his adoptive country, and for people all over the world. We are proud of Harry. Harry needs our support, deserves our support. We're glad to support the Sussexes. This is going to be a great month for the Duchess of Sussex, right? So, and then of course, there is the Invictus Games coming up. And even though they are trying to run these articles, Zenobia Wood, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Even though they want so desperately to try to muddy up Harry's reputation and such, Harry is the real star of the royal family. Even outside of the institution, he reigns supreme. And whether or not they all get along, it doesn't matter. Harry and Meghan are the two elements that are bringing younger people awareness of the royal family. So the awareness is there. If you want people to like you, stop mistreating the stars of the show. Stop mistreating them. And here it says, if standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches, we ride at dawn. I love that. Now, I don't know who the squatty was that posted this, but it was on the Twitter, and I don't remember who, but that is how we are going to close it out today. If standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches, we ride at dawn. Hello. We ride at dawn. Ride or die. You have picked the wrong chicks to F with. Ride or die. Ride or die. And with that, you guys, thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Thursday to you all. Thank you all for your very generous contributions. As always, thank you to the Mod Squad for keeping this the safe space that it is. And, well, we have a trial going on, and we are going to be there for moral support and otherwise for the Duke of Sussex. And, of course, for Sir Elton John and David Furnish is his name, Doreen Lawrence, and et cetera, et cetera. So we will be there for them. So let me go back to that again. I'll leave it right there as we close it out. But yeah, we ride at dawn. I love that. If standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches, we ride at dawn. Love it. Love it. The squad is so profound, right? The squad is very profound. So, okay. But yeah, so that poor old lady. I am really thinking about that old lady though. That is very sad. You know, when that old lady left the house, that 80-plus-year-old woman, when she left the house, I'm sure, I am more than certain she couldn't have thought that anything like that was going to happen. And maybe it was just that an accident. I'm sure it was, but very sad for her and for her family that love and care for her. So, okay. Thank you all very much. Love you guys. And of course, remember to pray for all of the squad that is healing or going through some really challenging times right now. And always, of course, keep the memory of this queen alive and also pray for this queen. Yeah, Vibram, they do tend to hurt vulnerable people. It is a beast that seems to feed off of the flesh. Oh, thank you so much, Lydia Washington. Greatly appreciate it. And you know what? I think I'll close out with the video that I made last night. How about that? I'll close out with that just in case you haven't seen it and it may be hard to find. I will close out with that one. And yeah, we'll do that. And thank you all so much. And I will see you all tomorrow. Yeah, I love Doria. I love Doria. Oh, yes, and the Kaboom fundraiser. I think I saw someone posted it was 72,000. But yeah, we're going to make a big push for that the closer we get to Lily's birthday. We're going to make a big push for the fundraiser. So if you guys have not contributed yet, please make sure you do. You are able to leave a comment. You can dedicate your contribution to whomever, which is really cool to do. It's always good to have that acknowledgement. So, yes, please do that. Oh, thank you, Bram. Thank you very much. All right. So, oh, Ingrid, is it really tomorrow already? Wow. Okay. I'm going to close with, actually, can I? I don't even think I have that video over here. It's on my other computer. Okay. I'll close with this one. I'll close with this one. Not the long one, the short one.
Walk through the restaurant to get to the PDR. So yes, everybody saw her, but that's where the PDR was. You had no choice. Once they were all in the PDR, the doors were closed. Directly outside the PDR was a la carte dining section. And in that section was her security detail, because you could see directly into the private dining room, so you could see who was going in and out. And also people from the restaurant group and other people we knew we could sit back there and trust, because they didn't give a shit Meghan Markle was here. I was originally supposed to be the main server, but the firm, I think, can't confirm that, but I think it was the firm. They wanted me to sign an NDA. I refused. And so I became the second, which means that I would just go into the room to help assist, serve, clear, if drinks need to be dropped off, wine poured, whatever. Every time I was in the room, everything that I heard, saw, experienced firsthand, she is lovely, respectful, kind, was just having dinner with her friends. That's it. Like any one of us. It's not newsworthy at all. I guess it's newsworthy because people have this preconceived notion about her. Nothing that I experienced was like that with her. She was great. Always please and thank you. Always eye contact. Always engaging. Having a really great time with her friends in this private room. So she had no excuse to be anything other than herself, because she was now in a safe environment. And so I saw, in my opinion, what I feel was the real Meghan. She was just alone with her friends. And I was a bit of a fly on the wall, and I thought she was fantastic. The night ended, she left, she said goodbye to all of us. I did say to my colleague after, everything was said and done, what did you think of her? Since he was the main person in the room and he spent a significant amount of time in there. He said to me, Krista, I gotta tell you, she's one of the nicest human beings I have ever met in my life. Not celebrity, not civilian, doesn't matter. Totally the nicest human I have ever met in my life. He couldn't stop raging about her. So maybe everybody needs to back off a little bit and give her a little bit of grace, because she's really lovely.
almost forgot cookies and cream. Thank you so much. Everyone, please continue to pray for the Sussexes, each other, and the world. That is our last word of the day. Thank you very much. Almost forgot about that. Uh, I knew it was. And you know what it means. That ain't what it means. It means what I said. Oh, something else. Uh, Mine sounds more fun. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh Good night, Natasha. Good night, Andrew Bodie. Good night, Hilda's girl. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. All right.